Good morning. See the cup? Renew. It's Wednesday, Gentle Yoga Day. And this cup is a reminder that each time we step onto the mat, we are stepping into a process of renewal. This week, we are focusing on the feminine, celebrating the feminine, if you will, through the Yani Mudra. So the Yani Mudra, we create a church and a steeple, but instead of having the doors, we turn our thumbs down. So yeah, it kind of symbolizes that part of the woman's body, which is ever so important. Not only is it the seat of our sexuality, but it is also the place where life comes to be. So, but rather than focus on those specific aspects, I've decided this week I will be focusing on the feminine aspects of our being and choosing poses and asanas and meditations that will help us to connect with our feminine side today. So, join me on the mat. One sip of coffee before we go on. So the mantra that I would like us to think of this morning is attuned to the rhythms of my inner being. I live with greater harmony and fluidity. So this certainly goes along with our theme last week, where we talked about flexibility of thought, flexibility of how we interact with the world and set our expectations. And so this really goes along with that. And if we think about what women do, fluidity really is the name of the game. Adjust, adjust, adjust to whatever the changing circumstances are. And one of the other things that I have been talking about this week is the importance of taking the time to take care of ourselves. One aspect of being feminine is being very nurturing. And when I speak of this, I am not only speaking of women, I'm also addressing the men. But in a life where we are caring for others all the time, we tend to not care for ourselves. And so I invite you to these yoga practices to engage in self-care as a habit. So let's take that mudra, the Yani Mudra. Let's draw our elbows close to the ribs. Draw the heart center up as we draw the shoulders down, and create lots of length in the spine and in the neck. Close your eyes and start to inhale and exhale through the nose. As you inhale and exhale, create strength in your form while you create softening of the edges around the form. Inhale by expanding the belly. And exhale, draw the belly back in. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, lift up the heart center and draw the shoulders down. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And let's inhale one more time. And exhale, release the mudra. If your eyes were closed, gently open them and find a fixed point off into the distance. Continuing to create strength in your form as you soften the edges. Let's inhale our hands out and up. And exhale them out and down. Inhale out and up. And exhale out and down. Let's inhale out and up again. And exhale them down. On our next inhale, let's take a side moon pose. So Ardha Chandrasana, hands above our head. If you want to, you can create a goddess formation with your hands and tilt to the left, drawing your left elbow towards your left hip. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, tilt to the right. And inhale, rise up. Exhale, tilt to the left. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, tilt to the right. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, tilt to the left. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, tilt to the right. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, allow your hands to fall down. Placing your hands back on your thighs. Let's lift up the crown of the head and do a little bit of neck releasing, tilting our head to the right side, drawing our left shoulder down. Creating lots of space from the left ear all the way out to the edge of the left shoulder. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Take another inhale. Exhale. Lift up your head and let's tilt it to the left. Again, drawing the right shoulder down, drawing the right ear away from the right shoulder. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Lifting up the crown of the head. Let's inhale our hands out and up again. And exhale the hands out and down. Let's remove our mat. If we're sitting on, well, not mat, I'm sorry, our pillow. If we're sitting on a pillow. And let's do a little bit of opening along the back of the hips before we start the rest of our practice this morning. Inhale our hands out and up. And on your exhale, hinge at the hips, drawing your heart center forward, keeping your arms in line with your ears if you can. Feeling a stretch on the back of the right hip. When you have reached your stopping point, just hold there. Take a nice inhale. Fully exhale. And then inhale, rise up. Exhale, drop your hands down. Switch your feet. My right foot is in front, so I'm moving it behind my left foot. Inhale our hands out and up. And then on your exhale, hinge forward. Keeping your sits bones in contact with the mat. Keeping your arms in alignment with your ears. Feeling that gentle stretch in the back of your left hip if your left foot is in front. Take another inhale. Fully exhale. And then inhale, rise up. Exhale, float your hands down. And let's take a brief seated twist. Not a deep twist. This is gentle yoga. We're just warming up the spine. So inhale the heart center up. And then exhale, turn to the right. Left arm on the left knee or on your leg, right arm behind you. As you inhale, draw the crown of the head up nice and tall. And as you exhale, deepen into your twist. Inhale and exhale. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, turn to face forward. Take a nice inhale. And on your exhale, turn to the left. Left arm behind you, right arm or right hand sitting on top of your left leg or onto your knee. Inhale, draw the crown up. And exhale, deepen into your twist. Inhale. And exhale. Take another inhale. And exhale, turn to face forward. Let's inhale our hands out and up. And exhale, bring your hands down. Let's rise up on our knees, taking tabletop position. And in tabletop, I want you to focus on some alignment points. Your hands, your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, and your hands are shoulder width apart. Your knees are hip width apart, directly underneath your hips. Draw the crown of your head forward as you draw your shoulders back. When you do that, you activate your side waist muscles and your abdominal muscles. Just hold this pose for just a moment, feeling the lengthening of the spine. As you inhale, moving into cow, lift up your sits bones, drop the belly, and lift up the heart center. As you exhale, tilt your tailbone towards the mat as you draw your back up to the ceiling, dropping your head, rounding your shoulders. Reverse that, inhaling your heart center up, lifting up your sits bones. Draw your shoulders away from the ears and down. And then on your exhale, reverse that order, drawing your back up to the ceiling. Let's move into cat one more time, lifting up the heart center, lifting up your sits bones. And exhale, returning to that neutral spine. Let's tuck our toes and just briefly sit back on our toes before we go into some standing poses this morning. Normally we don't do standing poses, but I'm including the whole moon salutation sequence in my classes this week. Take a nice inhale. And then exhale, let's rise up. I'm going to place my blocks aside for now. Let's start on one side of the mat, standing in Tadasana. When we stand in Tadasana, this is a strengthening pose. This is to remind us of our own strength as we rise up and out of the earth, taking the energy of the earth and allowing it to flow up through the center line of our bodies. So lift up all of your toes, turn your hands forward as you bring them down alongside, lifting up your heart center, drawing up the crown of your head. Again, feeling the engagement of all of your muscles in the midline and in your side waist. Inhale, bring your hands out and up and bring them together at the top. On your exhale, curl to the left in Ardha Chandrasana. And then inhale, rise up. And then let's move into Goddess Pose. So turn your feet out and separate the legs. And then squat down. Taking Goddess arms while you're at it. You can do Goddess arms like this or overhead. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise up into star. And then on your exhale, turn your right toes forward, leaving your left toes facing the back of the mat, and tilt into triangle pose. This is gentle yoga, so don't go into a deep triangle. For today, just place your hand on your shin. Draw your right shoulder back slightly, shining your heart center up. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, bend your left leg. Take your right hand to the floor, left hand to the floor, and move into a lunge. And then we're going to move into Skandasana, which we're going to turn both of our toes forward. You can lift up your right heel as you do it, and then you can go a little bit further into Skandasana, feeling a nice stretch along the bottom of your right leg. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, let's move into Malasana, which is garland pose. Placing our hands near the top of our knees, allowing our hips to fall towards the floor. Take a nice inhale. Fully exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Then we're going to move into Skandasana on the other side. So take our left foot out. Allowing for that stretch. You can be up on your toes or you can be down on your foot. It's a little easier to be up on the toes. Get a nice, beautiful stretch along the inside and bottom of your left thigh. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, pivot to the right, rising up into lunge. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. Take another inhale. And then on your exhale, moving back into goddess form. So rise up, sinking our hips low as we do this. Again, you can take your goddess above or out to the side. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. And then inhale, rise up into star. And then on your exhale, moving into triangle on that side. So again, we're not going into a deep triangle, but focus on drawing your left shoulder back as you shine your heart center up to the ceiling. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. And then bend your leg, take your feet together as we rise up into Tadasana at the top. Exhale, curl to the right. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, float the hands down and turn your palms forward. That is a moon salutation. Let's do that one more time. We're going to do it just as slowly as we did that time. So inhale our hands out and up. Exhale, curl to the left. Inhale, rise up. And then exhale, moving into goddess. Inhale, rise up into star. Exhale, turn your right toes forward, left toes towards the back of the mat. Going into triangle pose. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, turning down towards the mat, going into a lunge, drawing the heart center forward. And then on your exhale, moving into Skandasana. On your inhale, moving into yogi squat or Malasana. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, moving into Skandasana on now the other side. And then turning to the right on your exhale, going into that lunge. Inhale. And then on your exhale, rising up, Moving into triangle pose. And then moving into goddess. We skipped this before, or did we? I don't remember. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rise up into star. And then bring your feet together. Moving into Tadasana with your hands overhead. Exhale, curl to the right. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, float your hands down. Turning your hands forward. I don't know about you, but I find that a beautiful and gentle way to open up the body. And this is something that you can do before bed at night to prepare your mind and prepare your body for a good night of sleep. So let's take some other forms this morning that celebrate our femininity, our feminine being inside of us. Each of us has feminine and masculine that resides within us. So let's go ahead and sit down on the floor and take child's pose. Placing our toes together, knees apart, and then lay down on the mat, tummy on the mat. Now, if you find extending your shoulders this early in the day is challenging, just lay your forehead on your hands and allow your spine to be nice and long as you allow your hips to open up in child's pose. Breathe in and out. And while you are in this pose, focus on the two chakras at the base of the spine. Focus on the root chakra and focus on the sacral chakra. These two chakras are activated by doing the kinds of poses that we did this morning. The sacral chakra is important because this is where we find our reproductive organs and reproductive health. And the root chakra is important because this is our connection with the earth and how we feel centered and safe so that we are in a position to care for others and create that same experience for them. Take another nice inhale. And on your exhale, reach your right hand forward and just draw your left shoulder towards the floor. So you're threading your left arm underneath your right, twisting to the right. Take a nice inhale. On your exhale, bring your left hand forward and twist to your left, laying your right shoulder across on the floor. A nice stretch across the back of your right shoulder. Take an inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Take another inhale. Fully exhale and reach your hands forward. Stretching out if it feels good to you. Again, laying your forehead on the mat, which helps to combat depression and feelings of anxiety. Take one more inhale. And on your exhale, let's rise up slightly. Bring our right knee towards the beginning of the mat, or the front of the mat, rather. And then lay down on our right side. Bring your knees back in alignment with your hips. So you have one long, straight plane from your chest to your hips, down to your knees, and your feet are behind you. Reach behind and grab your left foot on the inside with your left hand and just start to move that foot back towards the wall behind you. So what we're doing is kind of dancer's pose on the floor. And you can kick it as far as feels good to you. I love doing dancer pose on the floor. It's a wonderful way to open up the shoulder, to open up the hip, and you don't have to worry about balancing. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, stretch as far as feels good to you. Take another inhale. And then exhale, you can release that down. We're going to rise up with our left hand and bring our feet to the other side of the mat. So you can be as graceful as you want. Okay, so now laying down on our left side, bringing our knees back again in alignment with our hips. So knees, hips, shoulders. Reach behind, grab your right foot. I recommend grabbing it on the arch side of the foot. And then move your foot into your hand. So you're going to feel also a gorgeous quadriceps stretch while we're doing this. So you're going to feel your shoulder open up, a nice arch at the back, and you're going to feel that stretching of the front of your leg and your right psoas. Really just a beneficial, terrific stretch to engage in. Take a nice inhale, and on your exhale, kick your foot further back. One more inhale, and then exhale. You can release that pose. And then again, use your right hand to rise up as gracefully as you choose. Let's move back into Malasana. Malasana is a wonderful pose that encourages us to relax our pelvis floor, using this pose to really allow gravity to do the work in opening up the hips. And hips are a place that we hold a lot of tension and a lot of stress. In our society, we spend a lot of time sitting in chairs that contribute to the problem. We drive in cars, and that contributes to the problem. We have furniture that is way too comfortable and puffy, and it contributes to the problem of tight hips. And why is that? Because it shortens up the psoas in the front, and it draws down from the back muscles in a way that's not really beneficial, especially for women who have had, changes in their bodies due to pregnancy and childbirth that are pretty permanent. We just had a wonderful talk this weekend on Instagram about the postpartum body and how the postpartum period is a time of healing the body from the experience of pregnancy and childbirth, but that what follows may be very permanent changes. And in my circumstance, permanent changes in the ligature of my sacroiliac joints for the rest of my life. And so I always have to be attentive to that. And I believe that a lot of women do, and that they have lower back pain and may not understand that that is the source of that lower back pain. So taking Malasana is a wonderful way to gently stretch out your lower back muscles, to open up the hips, and to really focus also on posture, because you can draw your shoulders down while you're using your elbows to allow your knees to fall apart. You're pressing your hands together, so that's creating strength, isometric toning strength. Drawing the crown of your head up as you draw your shoulders down really makes this not just a pose where you can relax your pelvis floor, but you can also strengthen your back at the same time. There are so many benefits of this pose. Take a beautiful inhale. And exhale. Try to move your weight back onto your heels when you're in Malasana. Take a nice inhale. And exhale. Let's place our left hand on the floor in Malasana. Create a little tension against the inside of your left knee so that you can keep it open. And then twist to the right. You could bring your arm up to the ceiling if you want to. You can bring it behind and place it on your waist. You can have it drawn towards the back wall behind you. But all of it that helps you with your twist. Take a nice inhale. Fully exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's turn forward. Place our right elbow on the inside of our right knee. Place our right hand down. And then twist to the left. You can bring your left arm up. You can bring it down to your waist, or you can bring it behind you. But engage in the act of twisting while you're drawing your arm back. Take a nice inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. Let's return back to that Malasana with our hands together at the heart center, allowing our knees to be drawn apart by the pressure of the elbows on the inside of them. Take another beautiful inhale. And then on your exhale, place your hands down on the floor behind you. Allow your hips to hit the floor. And let's take bound angle pose. So initially in bound angle, what I'd like you to do is just press your feet together, allowing your knees to fall down to the floor. And lift up your heart center by pressing your hands into the floor. Just feel that beautiful extension of the spine and opening of the chest while you have your feet in this bound angle. It's also called cobbler pose, and some know it as butterfly pose because of what you can do with your knees. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, go ahead and grab either your toes or your ankles, and then focus again on rising up the heart center as you allow the knees to fall down. Take a beautiful inhale. And then on your exhale, let's move our feet just a little bit forward. So more of an open diamond created by your toes and feet, your feet at the front, your hips in the back, and your knees out to the side. And then if you want to, you can fold forward in this pose. Draw your elbows towards the body as you draw your heart center forward. This keeps your back a little bit straighter and allows you to get a really delicious and beneficial stretch along your lower back and along the back of your hips. I don't want you to feel a pulling of the middle part of your back, so try not to round that too much. Draw the heart center up as you move forward and draw your elbows towards the body. Take a nice inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise up. Let's bring our knees together. Separate our feet. So your feet are about hips width apart, arms behind you. And let's just windshield wash our knees. So we're just allowing them to lay on one side and then rise up and lay on the other side. As you move your knees to one side or the other, time it to your breathing. So exhale down, inhale up, 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 and exhale down, inhale up. One final exhaling down, and inhale up. Maybe that will feel good to you. Let's also now take, we're going to take deer pose so that we can open up the front of this right hip and open up. Well, you get more of the stretch on the sits bone that is lifted, on the leg that is behind you. So what you do is you draw your right knee backwards so that your thigh is parallel with the side of your mat, and you draw your left foot forward so that your shin is parallel. And just focus on lifting up the heart center and allowing this right hip to open up in a unique way, because we're kind of doing an internal rotation rather than the external rotation that we do in pigeon. We're doing an internal rotation, so the opposite of that. And so you're going to feel an interesting stretch along the groin and even underneath where the leg meets the buttock. So, but you can control how much of a stretch you want to get by how high you allow your sits bone to lift up. And then if you want to do a counter stretch, you can draw your sits bone down to the floor, which is going to create a different stretch along the crease of the leg here. Let's take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, bring that right leg back as we move into Pigeon Pose. So you can stretch that leg back as far as feels good to you. Draw your heart center up by placing your hands on the floor around your left leg. So you can create like a spider appearance with your hands to create some extra height, and then just lift up and out of the hips, feeling that stretch of the right psoas. Take a nice inhale. And then on your exhale, lay across your left leg. If you want to start off on your elbows, that's fine. You can take your elbows out to the side and place your forehead on your hand. If you feel that you want to, you can reach your hands forward. I find my favorite really is having my elbows out to the side and my forehead on top of them. And really focus on this nice piriformis stretch that you are getting with this experience. And breathe gently in and out. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, rise up. Take our right leg around. You can support it with your hand. And just allow your knees to stack on top of each other as we take cow face legs or Gomukhasana legs. And you'll feel a nice opening of the right hip while we do this. You don't need to do anything right now. Just sit like this. A lot of times this is accompanied by the arm pose, where we have one arm up and one arm down, and we clasp our hands behind our shoulders. But today we'll just sit here with our hands on our knees, enjoying this beautiful stretch along the outside of the right knee. And you can totally control that stretch. You can control that stretch by drawing your knee closer to the right foot, or to the right, so towards your left foot, or moving it more to the left if you have more space available. But usually this time of the day, I don't have more space available. This is early in the morning. It's now 7:20, but still the body hasn't fully woken up yet. Take a beautiful inhale. And then on your exhale, let's take our right shin, making it parallel with the mat, with the side of the mat. Take our left foot behind us, moving back into that deer pose. So again, in deer pose, your left sits bone will be lifted off the floor. And the more that you lift it up and move the hip forward, the more you get a stretch of the psoas. You can also draw it down if you want to have a different stretch in this internal rotation of the hip. So you control how much stretch you get out of this experience. Now you may find one side is more open than the other. I always do. My left side is always more open than my right side. And it's just how the body is, you know. And people that are right-handed tend to be right body dominant. So strength on the right side, but more opening on the left side. So it's pretty common, actually, the presentation that I have of having a more open left hip than a right hip, a more open left leg than a right leg. Even as a child, when I was flexible, not anymore, but when I was flexible as a child, I could always more easily get into Hanumanasana or a split on the left side versus the right. Take a nice inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Take a beautiful inhale. And then on your exhale, let's move into that pigeon pose. So moving your left leg behind you. And then lift up your heart center. Tenting your hands, just focusing on stretching out the front side of your left hip. Take a nice inhale. And on your exhale, now lay across that right leg. You may find that it's a tighter experience, perhaps on this side. Everybody is different. Again, I'm going into my arm presentation where the elbows are out to the side and the forehead is on top of the hands. And just really focusing my breath, slow and deliberate and smooth, stretching out the back of that right hip. And taking a nice inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise up. And let's then bring our left leg around, using your hand to support it if you want, and going into those Gomukhasana legs again. Again, our knees are stacked one on top of the other. You might see that mine aren't quite on top of each other this time of the day. I'm just not as open. And then you can just focus on the stretch that you might be experiencing on the outside of the left hip. And just sit here in these Gomukhasana legs, enjoying that experience. So the reason this is called Gomukhasana or cow face is your feet are like the ears of the cow. Think of the water buffalo in India and how their ears sort of go out to the side. So that's how I always remember this pose. I absolutely love this pose. It's just a beautiful, beautiful pose. Take a nice inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then inhale. Let's work our way out of that pose and find our way into Shavasana. So you can lay down in Shavasana, traditional Shavasana. You can take bound angle pose and then we can recline that. You can have your legs up against the wall, whatever you enjoy the most. I'm going to take bound angle pose as I lay down. And as we lay in this position, what I want you to do is find your way to stillness. Create space with your shoulders to relieve any upper back and neck congestion. So you might want to draw your shoulder blades a little bit close together underneath your shoulders. You want to create an experience of free flow of the breath from the base of your spine all the way to the crown of the head. Scan your body looking for any points of tension and release that tension, finding your way to total stillness. While you lay here, focus on relaxation of all of the pelvis muscles particularly. And once again, draw attention to those two chakras, the root chakra and the sacral chakra. Remembering fluidity and harmony, the sacral chakra is governed by water. And one of the mantras we might take when we think of the sacral chakra is, go with the flow or be like water. Living a life where we reduce resistance. One of the ways that we reduce resistance is we might release our attachments, particularly to our expectations. Release attachments from our expected routines. Thinking again of the feminine. The feminine is a nurturing aspect of our being. And in that nurturing aspect, we often are called to put aside our personal needs, at least in the moment. And you may find that creates a conflict at times. The conflict between self-care and the care of others. The tension is real, and you are allowed to have that tension. You are allowed to struggle with that conflict because this is a moment of honesty with yourself. You know as a nurturer that you're still going to do what needs to happen. If you have a little one or a pet or another person in your life that's in need of loving care, you're going to do it. But it's okay to be honest with yourself that it's hard. This self-honesty is what makes us strong. Take this moment to express love for yourself. Take this moment to take that nurturing love that you share with others and give it to yourself. Inhale and exhale, expanding the belly and contracting the belly. Take a nice inhale and exhale. You are invited to stay in Shavasana as long as you want. It is, in my opinion, the most important part of yoga. The light in me sees the light in you. The yogi in me honors the yogi in you. Namaste and have a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday.